Morning, morning. How is everyone? Very bright sunny day here in Melbourne. Thanks for joining me on my Sunday stream. My name's Human, and I posed a question, which is the title of this video, because a subscriber that I chatted to after the stream last week, and a group of us sometimes get together and chat. If you've got a microphone after this stream, jump on my Gilded server. And he asked me about what I thought about the current social media and online dating world. Big Ol actually said, what are your thoughts on social media and the dating scene? And, you know, I haven't sort of dated for many years now, but in retrospect, I thought it might be, I don't know, you guys might feel, be interested and might be illuminating to know why and how I reached different stages and when I had enough and when I kind of went on a different direction. By the way, if you would like to ask me a question during the stream, just because there's a lot of people chatting and so forth, and feel free to chat amongst each other. There's a lot of good conversations going on in the live stream chat. If you would like one directed to me, you want me to notice a question or a comment, as long as it's something I can answer or it's civil, make sure that you add 3 brightly colored emojis in front of your question, like this example, 3 circles, 3 smiley faces, and I'll see if I can answer it. But today's topic, this one, for myself, and I think a lot of guys go through this, I certainly did, you have enough, you need a break, and a lot of times because you're so exasperated, those 2 words I always confuse, that you think, I'm done. But you're not really. I remember, first, let's back up, right? In my, say, around 40, I remember I'd been just going further and further, different positions, gaining more experience in design studios. And I was earning better and better pay, but I felt like my world was just black and white, and the only thing keeping me going to the corporate studio work was the paycheck at the end. Sure, the work's fun. I know that the work I do as a graphic designer, I'm grateful that I get to work more or less from time to time on fun projects. Some are less fun than others, like corporate documents and things like that. But I remember I felt it coming up that I'm tired of this. I don't want to work this way. Is this all it is? I just earn a bit more money and a bit more money, and I buy another car and I go on more holidays, and I just keep buying more colognes and more camera gear, and you just keep wasting your time doing this, right? And at some point I said, like, you know what? I need to go. I'm just blueprinting my life going forward. I'm doing the same things and the results are the same. And I feel like there's less and less oxygen in the room in my life every 6 months, every year, every date that rolls off the calendar. And so I had enough and I basically quit. Took an indefinite break, but I knew I was not coming back to the old ways of doing things. So I really quit in terms of how I was working. And after about a year, I came back, started working part-time, and I balanced my life work sort of scenario in a really nice way. And I've been doing it for the last 6 to 7 years, and I haven't looked back. And similarly, some years after that, in my mid-40s, I reached the same sort of thing when it came to relationships and dating with women, where, you know, I was trying to, and I was largely successful in not picking the same type of girl every time, but it was always the same result. I was going through the motions. I was relying on a lot of luck, And at some point, I think it was my mid to late 40s, somewhere around there, just after 45, after maybe it was around 46, after the breakup of my last serious relationship, around that time. I can't remember, but it was around then anyway. And I really sort of said, no, this is enough. This is another permanent turning point. I don't know what's going to happen afterwards, but I will no longer be the same guy in relation to dating and women. Many of you may laugh. I've tended to be a late bloomer in a lot of things, but in a way I don't regret it, because impulsively I've never been good at making impulsive decisions or trying to fake my way into something else. I really and genuinely need to spend time, assess, and really want to take that next step, not because it's a way out, not because I'm escaping something, but because I really want it. I remember when I decided to move out of home and try and save up to buy my first home many years ago. I know now it's not affordable, but it took me until my late 20s to start to want to move out of home. And I had a very comfortable home environment. I grew up with European parents that weren't claustrophobic. They gave me my space. There was really no reason to be forced out of home other than my own decision and willingness to want to do things, where I really trusted my intuition and I knew it was time to do so. And in a similar way, whether it was work, later on, how I decided to date or not date women, to take a break, realize it was permanent, things like that. I came to the point in my mid to late 40s, as I was mentioning before, where I didn't just log out of this dating app, that dating app, and take a break. No, I deleted the dating apps. I deleted the pictures off my hard drive, my dating profile. I kind of burnt the bridge. And I really had had enough, not in an angry way, but is like, I've got no more fuel for this. It's the same kind of mindset and black and white vision of, I am moving from this house and I'm moving somewhere else. I am never coming back. It might be a similar house, I don't know, but I am not going to be this person anymore. So I asked the question in the community tab in relation to this, and I was interested in your comments. I said, when every breakup feels like the last, you reach a point where you can do one of two things. Either take a break from dating and try again later, or leave the dating past behind and move on. Let me know your experience. Are you actually happier now? Is it just better than having to deal with all the games and narcissists, and that's just good enough for you? Or have you found a new perspective? Because sometimes we know what we should do. We know the turnoff we should make over this relentless, depressing highway we're on. We take the turnoff, but do we really? Sometimes we're trying to convince ourselves to stay there because we've got one hand holding on to the old ways of dating, the old me with very, iffy boundaries. And yeah, I can say no to the most awful women, but really there's a lot of range where I'm still making the same mistakes with kind of the gray area of women, and it turns out to be the same thing, and I've learnt nothing, and I just go to the next one and hope she's a nicer chick. Meanwhile, I'm not leading in terms of what even comes through the door, if that makes sense. So I wanted to ask this of you guys and your experience. Did you take a break from dating, and are you taking a break? Or are you just giving up? And I'm not talking about the chest beating online. A lot of guys like to act tough. A lot of women like to act tough out there. I don't need no man. You do. You're shouting too hard. You're not off the highway. You haven't calmly. You're not dispassionate, and you're not neutral and saying like, no, I'm kind of done. In the same way, I'm not angry at skateboarders. I used to skateboard. I nostalgically can talk about it, but there's no energetic emotions about it. It's looking at old photo albums. Are you genuinely past that? Have you gone to another season in your life? Are you still a 40-year-old guy or girl holding on mentally to the lost opportunities and the frustrations of the 20-something-year-old you or the 30-year-old you? Are you still a 40-year-old chick having in vitro, trying to kind of make up for the carousel you were on, and you just kept staying at the party longer and longer? And I think many of us, including myself, by the methods we use to date in our love lives, the blueprint we used over and over again, we are staying at the party too long with the same script. We don't screw it up, throw it away, trust our judgment and go forward. I was talking about this with my woman yesterday, and we were talking about the differences about trusting yourself and moving on to different chapters in your life. Hers was different to mine. She always kind of knew what she trusted in herself internally and just went forward, and very rarely, if ever, regretted anything because she had a good sense of herself internally. I never had much, in everything to do with my hobbies and things I enjoyed doing, my opinions and so forth. But relationally, between myself and women, I was very insecure, and I didn't know myself relationally. I knew myself with things not to do with people, but with people, I was terrible. With herself internally, she's great. With myself internally, I was terrible. Externally, my habits, routines, my dealing with my hobbies and things I could put my hands on and life and things like that, I was pretty good. I was very, very calm about them. Nothing kind of prodded and provoked me. And so my problem was with my internal relationship with my external relationship. I had a problem there with people. My internal one's always been fairly good. I'm fairly stable inside. And I wanted to let me know your comments if you want to let me know what you've learnt, what turning point, and what have you discovered about yourself? Like, where's your problem lied? If you're doing the same things and they're the wrong things over and over again, and you're getting the same negative results, you're frustrated, you're kicking yourself, you hate yourself for ending up in the same place over and over again. What have you learned? Have you come to a turning point? Did you just pause and take a break from dating and your bad methods and need a breather until the scars heal? And then you go back on the treadmill of dating, or the same jobs, or your same routines, and your sleeping patterns are still screwed up, and you just think that eventually it'll work out? Or did you really have a turning point? Let me know in the comments or in the stream. If you want a super chat, do that. I'll see it definitely. Or put 3 yellow emojis like this and before your comment or question, so I can read it out, and we'll see that way. So anyway, let me break out the chat so I can see the live stream while you guys formulate your questions. So that turning point to me was the thing I wanted to impart with you guys. What really helped me turn the corner in terms of online dating. And I kept doing this thing. I was learning more and more about women and dating and things like that. But relationally, I was still the same 21-year-old guy, more or less. I'd matured somewhat, but I really wasn't operating from that perspective first and foremost. It was kind of secondary in good moments, you know. So let me see who's on. Hi, Vero, Donna, how are you? Boffin, hello. Just a guy. Armored Ghost. Hello to the regulars, Melee. Melee said, what is dating? What do you get out of dating? Let me go. I'll put his comment up. Let me see. Chat. There he is. What is dating? What do men get out of dating? Well, it's a question you have to answer yourself. I know guys make sense of the world with very 1+1 = 2 objective answers. The sky is blue, the sun goes up, the sun goes down. There's so many hours in the day. Like, everything is ontological. But relationally between you and someone else, what you're picking, what they're like, you cannot control them. Their relationships and the other person are very stochastic. They are not what you want them to be. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes they tell you the truth, but you're hearing what you want to hear. You cherry pick mentally. And a lot of times, myself included, I wanted him to be something, and I kept leaning positively in that direction, which is a good thing. You've got a positive mindset, but you positively make them out into something they're not. You excuse them you smooth over faults. You say, yeah, she got angry at that time, but that's nothing. I like so much else about her, but that's a big thing. You're ignoring a lot of bad traits that if you do get into a tough time where you need their support, they're not going to be there. They're going to get annoyed. You're going to be walking on eggshells in the relationship. So what do men get out of dating? Generally, companionship. And if you're reproductively inclined, you get a family, you get children. And if you're lucky, if you've picked someone compatible that you communicate with, you can make that last and hopefully long enough, at least till the kid's born. Until the kid's raised. And if you're really lucky, you've picked someone where by the time your kids are grown up, you're fine and you enjoy having them as a companion. But it's a personal question. It's kind of like saying, what are guys, aside from the basics of health, what are someone who's obsessed with the gym or running or drawing or music production or hiking or marathons, what do they get out of it? Like, for me, it's just like pain. Well, everyone's wired differently. And even though generally and biologically we want to get with someone, the strong impulses, where they lie, is very different between you and I and the next person. And you put on top of that the amount of people lying to themselves. They tell themselves, oh yeah, I want this, but really they've got nothing to offer for what they want. One thing I've learned, and pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen, is that many people on dates, they like you, they're relieved, and you're a way out for their lonely, miserable life, or they want to leave their past behind. And what they communicate to you on a date is not who they are and who they were, it's who they want to be. It's the same kind of mind that says, Monday, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get into shape. I'm going to start my diet. They really mean it, but they're not telling you who they are and who they were. They're not owning up to their faults, and they're not being completely open and saying, yeah, this is who I am, but I want to be this person, and let's be open about this. No, they're giving you a positive spin. They're a person on a job interview wanting to get the job, and they're pleasing and promising that things are going to be great and you can trust me. But once they get comfortable, they slip into old habits, which is why I ask and implore guys to vet people and really talk and insist on open communication on the first date. Don't save it. Bryson Boost, thank you very much for the super chat. If any of you guys want me to read your comment and question out, super chat it, and I'll definitely see it and read it during the stream. Alternatively, if you don't have a few bucks, feel free to just put a couple of emojis next to your comment or question like this. You can do that for free, and I'll see it during this stream, hopefully, in between my rants. Yeah. Let me see if there's any questions. Remember, guys, keep the questions civil. Otherwise, the people with wrenches will kick you out. Because I've given them the authority, because they're people I trust, they've got good temperaments, and they're mature. They're not spurgs like some people that just drop in and leave a hand grenade in the comment section and don't care if it ruins the stream. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a good Saturday night in the US, Sunday morning in Australia. Yeah. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. This topic. And I find it's very pertinent to know where you stand. Are you fooling yourself? Do you just need a break? Which is fine, but just be upfront about it. And the more you can be honest with yourself like this, disarmingly honest, really, really honest. One thing I found, guys, is it's part of hopefully everyone who reaches a level of maturity and gradually sort of lets a lot of bullshit go, is that if you're honest with yourself, you're off the hook. And then you're more inclined to be honest verbally with other people. People see you for who you are when you communicate honestly. But if you don't start with the first step of being honest with yourself first, then it does not matter. Thank you for the super chat, Mike Tucker. And again, Bryson Bost, thank you for that comment. You're welcome. Mike says, part of me wishes I would have given up a long time ago. I would say, as guys, especially when we communicate about relationships and lost time, guys really value time, their time, because we spend it in the world doing things, improving ourselves, getting women in society to pat us on the back, approve of us because of the effort we make in the world. You know, good little boy, you did this, you've got money, you've got a home, you've got a car, you've got security, she feels safe because you've done things. And the time we spent getting things and the time we've wasted staying in relationships or jobs for too long, with people, with friends, giving friends second, third, fourth, fifth chances just because we've known them from high school. I know there's certain friends, because I've known them since high school, I know objectively, let's be real, step outside of your own predilections, step outside of it. If you look at this person and how kind of difficult they are at times to be around, but you tolerate them like a obnoxious or odd relative because you've known them all your life. I have one or two friends where if I met them today, if I didn't know them, if I'm being objective, I wouldn't be friends with them. They would be acquaintances, but I wouldn't give them much time. I've learned to accommodate them. We've been through a lot together, and I do give them much more of my time and friendship more than other people, but they've earned it over a long period of time. They were with me through a lot of ups and downs, and I was there for them, they were there for me. So they've kind of earned it, but objectively speaking, if it's not that kind of time and respect earned, as long as they're not kicking you in the nuts now, I mean, whoever it is, if they're treating you badly, just walk away from anyone, or at least limit your time around them. I know with family, it's very hard to do, but wasted time, like Mike says, is the thing most of us regret, and me included. Most of my regrets, if not all of them, is wasted time. There's not too much I regret that I did or said or didn't say. It's not saying something, I can't even speak properly. Not saying what I should have said, keeping my mouth shut, thereby staying longer, and then again keeping my mouth shut when the similar thing occurred that I should. I've been given the second chance to speak up, but I didn't. And then I let it slide. And then I just spent so much time being a mute, nice guy that didn't want to cause waves and kept Chicky Poo happy. Wasting time not saying what you should have said, wasting time not leaving sooner, wasting time not telling the person to off. Wasting time not being proud of yourself, wasting time spending time in that place where you're an ashamed 5-year-old at work, around the next girlfriend, in front of family, tolerating screaming neighbors, and a claustrophobic apartment building where you're always annoyed and can't sleep, just wasting time in a place where one day you say, one day, one day, one day. And it's the same one day that, one day I'll get fit. One day, like, the waste of time is awful, I know, for guys. Digi Nomad says, Human, did you ever learn game as a young man? No. I saw Dr. Orion's Psych Hacks discussion on approach anxiety. Fascinating, given he's a doctor and in academia, he spoke of active indifference. I'll tell you the problem I have with game and this kind of active indifference in pretending to deny your feelings. If I want someone, I express it in what I want and I'm honest about it. If you have to fool yourself and not trust how you feel, but have to flip it over and relate to people in a fake way because inside you really feel the opposite, but that's the only way you can relate to people. For me, that spills over into what we see in a lot of people faking it through relationships and work in their lives. I couldn't do it. And the few times where I did try a pickup line just to initiate, like your basics, whatever it was, I had nothing to say after it. The memorization of lines and strategy, I can't. I can only be myself in real time. If I want to say something, I will. If I feel something, I express it. I'll be tactful and not say something, but I'm aware of what I feel and what I want to say and not say for the right or wrong reasons. When I let it go and said, like, this is stupid. I hate feeling anxious and afraid. I'm just going to go up to them and start talking and saying hello, not as a game, as a, hey, how you going? Or a strategy of hello. And if they're being closed and if they're not reciprocating openness and hello, how are you? Because if they also say hello back and start talking, the barrier's always already been broken and you could tell they're happy to talk to you and they like you as well. But if they're kind of standoffish and like, what do you want, creep? They don't say much. If I have to work to penetrate a girl who is open to me or likes me, but she's putting on a veneer, if she's got anxieties, if she's used to putting up a wall of fakeness and I have to dig my way through it, I don't have time to play the game. I drop the games and game and pickup for me didn't work. If it works for you, fine, but I can't sit there trying to remember strategy. Strategically having relationships for me just didn't sit well with me. It just didn't, at the very least, because I just couldn't remember the next line, the next strategy, what I'm supposed to do next. Ooh, I passed this level, now I'm on to the second level, and now I fight the boss, and I press this button and do these moves, and I get the gem, and then I go to that. It's like, I can't be bothered. The best times I have is when I'm completely free, and I'm just having a organic open discussion with someone. And then I can trust my judgment. This is the big thing. You trust your judgment because you're just being you. And if you get along with them, it's effortless. Not, it worked, so I have to keep it working. Let me stay at this job. Let me turn up. Let the performance review keep going and let me keep pressing the correct buttons so I can keep this job. You're off the hook when you're yourself. You're off the hook when you don't have to memorize lines. I think there's some people that are more business orientated, more strategic naturally, where it can work to them to some degree and it can save them from a lot and they can leave early in relationships. But now for me, it's never worked. I'm not wired that way. I don't have that chip in me. Ricky said, the problem I have is wait till I was ready to go became it looks too dangerous. I'll just stay in the safe zone. I want to date now that I'm good enough, but now it looks too bad to start. don't, I would not generalize dating. Dating needs to be very specific and very personal and very subjective about you. It's good learning all this stuff about what general women are like, because if you meet someone and they act like every general woman, it gives you an answer to why you feel odd around them and why you're not relating to them properly and why they're not compatible, because they are like every other chick out there who's not compatible with you. That's where the knowledge of the manosphere and men and women and dating and all that stuff works. But you need to approach dating trusting your judgment that you picked them to go on a date with in the first place. You read their profile, you chatted a bit, and it's like, no, this feels really good. I'm looking forward to catching up and having a coffee with them or something. And then on that first meeting, you trust your judgment. You don't ignore red flags. You don't make excuses. You don't make excuses about her childhood. You ask every question that's tickling the back of your brain. It's an open discussion. And if this person has a wall, barriers, they don't want to talk about their past, they don't talk about exes, they don't want to, everything is just forward-leaning avoidance, then you need to trust your own judgment and, be polite and everything, but not go out with the same woman again, even if she looks and acts differently. Because what I'm talking about is I was sick of the same results I was having with ostensibly different women I was picking. I was picking very different looking women, temperaments, personalities, upbringing, intelligence levels, objectively introspective levels, but it did not matter because they weren't compatible. I've dated and one or two long-term relationships when I was more naive where they were nice people, but not compatible with me. It wasn't hand in glove. So it doesn't matter. When you're not compatible, if you're not yourself and you effortlessly and organically just get along, there's very little problems, especially in the honeymoon period, then it doesn't matter. I've gone out with a few nice women that you get so frustrated with the fundamental incompatibilities between you is that you start looking for faults. You start looking for, well, you left that cup there and I don't like how you do that and you're messy here. And, I feel better when I spend time away from them. Those little irritations are that they're nice and you're both polite and you were raised with, manners and things like that. And they're not as bad as your exes, a lot of the wretches out there, a lot of the narcissistic deranged lunatics out there. But just because they're better than shit doesn't mean they're great. You don't put a ring on it. You don't move in with it. I think because so many people out there are so narcissistically awful that you have a string of the average narcissistic awful idiot, like just a terrible person, is that you meet someone who's just nice or has manners, who's not a loudmouth bimbo idiot. They're not so self-absorbed, and you think, ooh, lock her in, go all in on her. It's like, no. There's a lot of people out there that are terrible that our parents and grandparents never had to deal with before. And just because they're better than shit doesn't mean you should commit to them. They could be, and there's quite a few. There's a large percentage of people, I would say, if you've self-reflected and you know what's good, you know what you want, you start to actually see there could be anywhere between 10 to 20% of people out there that could potentially be good to see if you can go on a date with, because they seem fine and they seem good and a lot better than the blind idiots you were dating before. But unless you're able to see the qualities that are compatible with you, it won't make a difference and you'll end up spending years and wasting time with them. Like what's mentioned here in the comments, the wasted time for a guy is really, really demoralizing. You start to doubt your own judgment. You get to a point where you see yourself much more clearly. You know your boundaries. You speak your yeses and your nos politely and confidently, and you know you have nothing to be ashamed of because the words are eloquent and you know how to communicate yourself exactly like I'm trying to do with you now. I have nothing to be ashamed of with my vocabulary. Someone can shame me and saying you're trying to gaslight me with your the way you speak. It's like, no, you're gaslighting me with, I'm speaking clearly. I am not trying to kind of put you down. I'm telling you exactly my no's and my yeses. If you don't like it, you can come back with more gaslighting from different angles to make me just agree with you, but I refuse to, because there's two people in this relationship or potential relationship. If it has to be just your way, chicky poo, then go. Find the doormat, the bad boy, the mistake you've always been making. But I refuse to keep recycling the same mistakes again. And especially I refuse to recycle the same mistakes I'm speaking and doing and acting. I don't want to be who I was yesterday. And part of that is not choosing idiots like you, is not choosing self-absorbed narcissists where the relationship is only what you want, that I don't exist. Politely, no thank you. Laugh at them. Know how to articulate yourself. No malice, but no, like I just don't have any more time left. I'm so aware of the time I have left in my life that I want to enjoy it, have good conversations. I don't want to struggle. Guys, don't buy into the bullshit of relationships are hard work. They aren't. You know when they're hard work is if you're with someone who's good, life throws enough hard crap at you that then it becomes difficult. But if you've got someone who's on your side, who you're compatible with, that you talk with, then overcoming those obstacles that are imposed on the both of you and stress the relationships, they're easier to overcome. But if you don't even get along with a person, if it's hard work where there's nothing wrong in life except the wrongness of you two, if the problem in life is your relationship itself and the boxing match, the friction, the stress, I mean, if you didn't have this person in your life, then the sunshine would come out. If that's your problem, that the dark clouds of your life are solely and duly like it's because of your relationship, then yes, you need to remedy that. You need to get out. You need to talk. You need to kind of rip that Band-Aid off in front of each other as though you were in front of a therapist. Some people need a therapist to go in front of to finally be open and honest. But how much more of your life and months, especially to guys, because we're very, very attuned to wasted time. You can dance all around the cat shit on the carpet, as Paul Proteus used to say. But once we focus on you are dancing around wasting years of your life that you'll never get back. You'll never get this year back you wasted with an idiot. And you think, well, I don't want to rip off the Band-Aid momentarily. It'll hurt for a split second, telling her exactly what I feel, and I want to be honest, but I'd rather not feel momentary pain. Let me stretch that pain out psychologically in a dreadful, soul-destroying life way, where even if I stay with her for 2 to 5 years and it finally like breaks me, it'll affect me on the next relationships. It will take you a lot more effort and trust to get in with the next chick if you wait longer and spend more time in misery with the current one. It does. It does with a lot of guys. The quicker you talk openly and you pull the Band-Aid off, if it's not working because you're so different, you want different things in life. It's not just because you like each other. Who cares? People like each other a lot. Superficially, there's a lot of attractive women out there. But I found that almost impossible until I stumbled across the woman I'm with now. I had enough. What happened with me here was that I had no more fuel left in the tank. I looked at every woman as almost like a car salesman. You know, every woman, no matter, I was just tired of the profile saying exactly what I needed to hear and looking exactly like what I needed to see, and then just having the rug pulled from underneath me and not just trusting my judgment. Because at the end, either I came to the realization I have no more patience for this. Either I'm shit at relationships, I can't pick it through all my knowledge. I think I'm pretty smart. I've learned all this knowledge about the manosphere. I'm either just terrible, I'm fooling myself, or I just don't have any more patience or time, or most women out there, I'm just not interested in anymore. They're the equivalent of a car salesman in a short skirt coming up to me and shaking my hand and wanting to be my friend and getting into bed. And I know what's happening. It's like, no, I just don't want this. Like, F off. Like, I'm done. Whatever it is, whether I'm crap at it or I'm tired, everything points to I'm done. And not in an angry way. It's like in an exhausted, no more fuel way. I'm done. I don't just log out of my dating apps. I delete them. I delete all of my profile photos for my dating apps online. Everything to do with it. It's kind of like when someone says, oh, I'm going to join the church. I'm going to be a monk. I'm going to move to another country. I am leaving this job. I'm tearing everything up. I'm burning a bridge. I burnt the bridge. I was done. And it was just exhaustion and I feel so free. So if you feel that way, what has anyone else got to tell you if you're very happy with it? But where I distrust it is when guys are very angry and it's like, oh, F women and this and the system and that. And you could tell, and they keep asking questions, but why are women like, but why? I stopped asking why because I didn't care. I did not care what women wanted. I did not care about dating. But you're bitter. I don't care. But you'll find it like, I don't care. Shut up. Like, just please. Can we talk about, oh, look, I touched the nerve. Humans a bit like, stop irritating me, please. I just don't want to talk about this. I just don't care. Like, I know you want me to care. You want me to have a foot in there and have hope. You want this to be a romantic movie where all hope is lost and then, they find their happily ever after. I don't care. I'm not waiting for the happy ending. I've stopped the movie. I've taken the disc or like I've just switched it off. It's done. I'm not watching it anymore. You might think because I'm being energetic about it, I'm thinking about how liberatingly free it felt to just be done with it. I'm not riding skateboards anymore. I used to do it for many years, but I don't care. It's even embarrassing to want to even ride on one. I might, out of nostalgia, in the backyard of someone's house, if I'm having a barbecue with the guys and their son's riding a skateboard, and for a laugh, I'll jump on for 2 seconds. I'll probably fall off. But I hope you guys got something out of that rant. Let me know your comments below this video. Let me also see if this refreshes. Boffin asked an interesting question. He says, considering the big picture, do you think dating in the modern world is more difficult for men or women? I would say both, but in very different ways. I think guys are having much more fun than women are in the actual doing of it. Again, men are the doings. In the actual doing, when we can, we're having fun for the guys that can rotate. Women are psychologically having much more empowered fun before jumping into the sack with yet another dirtbag, and like recycling yet another shame moment of the same guy again and again, waking up where the guy just threw you away like a bus ticket. So I think women are enjoying the endorphin highs of beforehand. Thousands of guys in my inbox, all these guys want me. I am the one in the eyes of all these guys. Look at all the options I've got. Guys are having fun in the actual betting of women. But at the end, no one wins. Like after the moment, it's kind of, the guy just goes to the next woman and he's chasing rabbits, and women are sitting potentially enjoying the start of a rom-com and waiting for a happy ending that doesn't come. Guys are just they're just watching porn. Guys are having, put it this way, in terms of movies, women have the dopamine anticipation of the first half of the romantic movie and never experiencing the end. Guys are having just recycling porn over and over again. That's it. And everyone's just recycling these stupid movies. So I think it's more difficult. I'd say on the whole, for women, it's more difficult because I'm thinking on aggregate, guys could either say now they can't get a girl, but in the end, they're saving themselves from a lot of wasted time and headaches as long as they don't spend a lot of time chasing women. But in the end, their lives are theirs for the guys. And they'll learn to be alone over time. Women are always anticipating something that they'll never have, and they're just going to be so disappointed that later on, they're going to be so demoralized, I'm guessing, with wasting so much time on this carousel that never turned out to be the happy ending of a romantic movie, that I don't think many of them can face it. And the proof is that they get to their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they pretend that they were just the good girl for 4 decades, and they had no idea about what they wanted, and that they were just going with the flow and not like, nah, sorry, it doesn't work with guys or girls. If you're just going with the flow, crossing your fingers, and just riding the roller coaster, it's on you, because you have so many highs and lows through your 20s, 30s, and up to your 40s, that if you've learned nothing through the lack of experience, failed experiences, then it's on you. Seriously, it is. Either you're doing things or you've got the wrong perspective and you're not around the people romantically or platonically that you want to, in which case you have to change your strategy. You can't just be, lazily, I'm just going to use the same rule book because that's the way I am and that's the way I've been raised. But you're constantly frustrated online with your friends and you're shaking your fist at the world and women. It's like, here's a solution, something to think about. What will make you stop shaking your fist at women in the world? And you're like, you refuse to look at any other method of doing things. It's like, but I like shaking my fist. It makes me feel alive and it makes me feel in control of women in the world. And this is when I feel alive. It's like, okay, continue to only feel alive and good by doing this and getting annoyed and energetically being pissed off. Fine. Rather than the liberating freedom of feeling energized, where you have your boundaries, you know how to speak, you feel proud of yourself, you're less and less ashamed of yourself recycling the same useless women, useless jobs, useless house you're living in, and you feel like there's no way out. And you don't trust yourself to make any choice. And also, how many guys and girls go through life never choosing anything but being proud of themselves? They're like, well, I've got a lot of dates I could have said yes to anyone, but I'm waiting for the best. It's like, yeah, great. How's that going for you at 30 and 40? What have you actually chosen to spend enough time with that you trust your judgment to have chosen that person, that lifestyle, that job, that thing you always wanted to do? Have you ever chosen something to trust yourself in it and to see what you can make of it? That you feel good, that I'm proud of myself. I made a choice and I made it consciously. Are you dating with intent? Are you living well? Are you proud of your week to week? Or is it always just a mess that you go online and bitch to guys and you all hug each other around a campfire? Do the girl power chicks hug each other in their misery? All this kind of misery Olympics, everyone being the biggest victim, guys and girls. It's like, there's nothing to talk about. Like, I want to talk about forward-leaning solutions. Let's have a conversation. This is what I've done. This is what I've been through. This has led me off the stupid freeway, off my own off-ramp, to where I can trust this is where life is going to be better. But everyone just wants to stay in the victim Olympics on the main freeway where you've got a lot of people and in your head, a lot of potential lovers and jobs on this dumb, claustrophobic, crowded freeway. Just because there's a lot of people there, you're in the sea full of a lot of fish, but you hate fish. Yet you see there's a lot of them there. It's like, fucking get out, go on land. It's harder to find food, but it's better than the fish you hate. Anyway, bad metaphor, but you know what I mean. It kind of annoys me because I'm not getting annoyed at you guys. I'm getting annoyed at me as a version of some of you guys, because I wish I woke up earlier. I coasted along, being very clever, but trying to fix every woman. Like, I'll fix the relationship. Yeah, I'll be the patient one. It's like, yeah, you always put yourself last. You never speak up and you're ashamed of yourself. But you're never the same person as you are online with your friends, when you're with your buddies. You really speak your mind and you stand up for what you believe, and you really feel energized when it's not in front of women. Then you feel proud of yourself. Then you really stand up and you feel really good. Yeah, why don't you do that dipshit in front of women? I got tired of that. I got tired of not being consistent across the board, not being consistently myself. I wanted to spend more time alone or with my friends, but not so much with women because I didn't know how to play the game. Well, stop playing the game. Just be you. And then you realize you're around women and people who love playing games. And if you refuse to play games, then it's easy not to be around them. The quality of my life is too important now to go back and play those childish schoolyard games. Look, I don't know, Boris. As I said, try and think in terms of the woman you pick and what you do and don't want. Who cares what most women in society, what they tell you is right and what's proper and what's politically correct and what you should choose? If they told you now that the divorce stats have gone down to 30%, would it change your mind or would you be mistrusting? I would guess that most thinking men would still be mistrusting and have to go out there and test the dating world. Do it now. Just who cares about what the stats are? Go out there and see if it makes sense. If you speak your mind and if you're not afraid and if you know how to eloquently tell people who you are and give them your yeses and nos, it does not matter a flying fuck what the stats are if I'm intentionally dating and I reject the worst kind of women. If I treat my friends well and my family well, if I treat potential partners well because I know that they're deserving of my trust and my time and my attention, because I kind of know what works both ways. But if it's just like, she's pretty, let's jump into the deep end and let's hope I don't drown. Oh, I made it out. I nearly drowned. Let me tell this war story. That's a terrible way to be. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. Nancy says, no more fuel left in the tank, understandable, and it requires effort, but it shouldn't be extremely hard. If two people really care about each other, then it should flow easier. That's given that you found someone that's at least been brought up well. Like I said, I've had girlfriends that were nice, but we're not compatible, and we started tearing each other apart for inconsequential things like a couple being left on the table, or she wants to go out and I don't, and it turns into a big argument, and it's nothing. It's frivolous. You only get there when you understand who you are, what you want, and you recognize what someone really compatible with you is. You don't fight. I've been together with my woman for years now, and we don't fight. We have moments where one of us doesn't communicate and the other person doesn't quite get what the other person is saying, and they don't get the point, and we have misaligned perspectives that aren't being communicated, and we're not on the same page, but we work through communication to get on the same page. And then it's like, I wasn't aware, like I thought you were saying A, but you were saying B. But that's very different about just being irritated about every little thing the person does and having to just tolerate it. I don't tolerate anything. And I'm not saying that you have moments, no one's perfect, but the amount that people think that just the base of their relationship with their partner should be tolerable, it just baffles me why people would stay. Stop wasting your time. Hey, Rocket, how you going? Okay. Thank you for the Super Chat donation, Tom. I appreciate it. Anyone else who wants to Super Chat before we end the stream today? I'll end in a few minutes, but if you got any last Super Chats or questions, drop them into the stream if you're live. Otherwise, put them below the stream. Tom says, is PORN the issue, or should we look at modern relationships and the modern woman? What makes a man forego the pursuit of physical touch? Not much. I think it's a very strong pull. Some people it's less than others, but again, we're so different that you can only be honest with yourself. Do you require less than the average other person? If chemically you're just born with kind of more hormones that you need more touch and more sex, then what can you do? The desire is innate and wouldn't be abandoned without reason, yes. But again, I would encourage us to try and get away from modern relationships and modern women as a whole, and like pay attention to them, because every woman is a average woman before you get to know her and start judging her and making your own assessment. You know, the bridge between she's the typical woman, she's somewhere in the middle of the bell curve, but when I go on a date, I want to make her Jane. I want to make, you know, everyone is just a man or just a woman, and you give them the benefit of the doubt. You put down the wall somewhat, you keep them at arm's length, but try and be as open in your communication of who you are and who you want them to kind of show you who they are. But then you want to make them into the person they are. I would offer, gentlemen and ladies, the best strategy on dates is to insist to reveal and make them Jane and not a woman. Like really see the person, all of their little picadillos and predilections and their quirks, and just sort of see if you find them amusing and you like them and you're surprised and they're refreshing and they're different enough. You make them different from the average woman or the average guy so that you recognize the compatibility. You might just see an individuality in them that's like, they're really different, they're exciting, they travel, they're good in business, they're extreme athletes, they're obsessed with X, Y, and Z, and you really admire them that they've got hobbies and things, but none of it is aligned with what you're aligned with. Like you couldn't have a relationship with this person, but that takes your own self-awareness first to be able to recognize the uniqueness in someone else, but then secondarily, does their uniqueness and the individuality lock in, and is it compatible? Is it hand in glove with yours? So for instance, my woman's creative as well. She writes. I do as well, but I'm much more heavily visually leaning. I do a lot of video and illustration and things like that. So we understand the same headspace. We're both homebodies. So there's a lot there that's compatible. There's 100 other things that we're compatible with, little quirks and temperamental things, and there's just so much. But the very big things need to be compatible. You could just respect the person, but you cannot have a relationship. A nice person you respect will not last long past the honeymoon phase. Once the objective, you really like the person, you can try to love them, but it's a square peg in a round hole. So I would, as much as possible, pay attention to men, women, the data, divorce stats, what most women are generally doing out there. Be objective about it. Also balance it with what you see in your life. Make sure you go out there and touch grass and talk to people and get your own perspective on it. Because no matter what you read in the videos you see online, don't forget the most of the videos you see on YouTube and online and TikTok and Instagram, they're the most extreme ones that get views. People click on them and watch them. It's like watching car crashes, the little reels of cars flipping on the freeway and big accidents. You don't see that every day. You don't see that every 5 minutes on the freeway. You wouldn't go on the freeway. That's extreme, and they're very, very rare moments that are captured and communicated on social media. You need to also balance that and say, do I see these car wrecks every day with women on my dates? Maybe bits of them, the selfishness, but you need to filter everything. The last decision should be made by your own empirical judgment of what's happening in your own life. So then you can trust the last filter of what do I think. You make sense of all the data and what all the guys say and what the news tells you and what the wokeness tells you and what they cram down your throat in all these stupid movies. Pass them through the last objective, subjective, but mostly I would say still objective filter of what you trust to be your empirical experience. Filter the last step through the internal filter of you. Does all of this make sense, what everyone else is saying, what all the data says? And does it track with what I see in my life? No? Then take it with a grain of salt. What do you really see as being true? What should you change, and what should you do more of? Anyway, get away from the generalization. I'm not saying generalizations shouldn't matter. They do. We should be able to generalize to make sense of strangers. but work really hard to get your final decision about these kind of important questions, the way you relate to society and the women you may or may not pick. Make them personal. Make it personal. The foundations are objective and, general, and women and men and society. But the final decision of what matters in your life, the person you're going to spend all your time with, is completely about your subjective little quirky world and what you want. Who cares what the stats say? I like what I like, and I'm going to pick a person that's compatible with the little world that I like. So, yeah. DigiNomad. I think a Karen is the byproduct of the village bicycle and no ring. The wall is undefeated. She's pissed off. Perhaps. I would also suggest don't every sentence that comes out of our mouths that we write should not be cliches as well. Karen's, village bicycle, no ring, wall undefeated. Careful how many of those words you string along in every sentence. Dropping them in every now and then, where most of your sentence is your vocabulary coming out in real time, is good. But if every sentence is you memorizing memes from the manosphere, you just string one sentence after another, after another, after another, you are conditioned. You are being more and more conditioned to speak in a certain way. So just be careful. DigiNomad. Okay. Sam Sailor, thank you for the super chat. Any last super chats? I'm about to end this Sunday stream. So any last questions and comments, super chat, or 3 smiley face yellow emojis. Sam Sailor says, I hear actually get to know someone very nice. Yeah. There's not enough very practical, human, everyday, hello, how are you going, touching grass solutions in the manosphere. And as I kind of just do my own thing more and more, and I hear how much of the PUA red pill community talks. Like, it's guys are getting very, very good at survival, and they're terrible at life insofar as being able to just go out there and feel very free and confident going to the supermarket and relaxed. Whereas most of them, I'm guessing, they can't wait to come back home. They don't even enjoy going to the supermarket because of all the stress and the politics they have to endure and push back. Yeah, get to know someone, but get to know them openly. Don't hold anything back. Ask the questions you want to ask, have the conversations you want to say. Don't smooth over any little flags that are popping up. Don't say, it's nothing. No, nothing is nothing. If you notice it, clarify it. Do not walk on any kind of eggshells. Do not be nice just because you think she looks nice. Make her real. Don't believe she's real or could be real. Make her real by saying everything that's a question mark. Make her real on the date by saying and asking questions. If she doesn't want to answer, that's a red flag. If you want to know and she doesn't want to talk, that's miscommunication. You're wanting to go down this street and you want her conversationally to join you because it's important to you. If I'm asking a question to somebody politely, it's like, I'd like to know. You don't have to tell me details about what happened actually. Just give me a broad generalization about what happened, because it's important to me because I want to get to know you. It's not that I want to know details about their name and what they did and who got hurt and your PIN number to your bank account and all these traumas. Just generally tell me what you learned, who you are, and how you reflect on those things. But if the person just keeps putting up walls where you come away from dates not really knowing anything about them other than she's pretty and I like her and I want to go on another date, so I just sit in that same warm bath of I like her. But you can't tell, if you can't come, let's put it this way, if you can't come off a date and if you like her, you can't tell your friend exactly, objectively, the values and the things you do like about her, apart from her looks and all that kind of very animal baseline stuff. If you can't actually be proud of like what you've observed. Like, she's really good at this. And I noticed she was very polite to the waiter and the waitresses, and she was listening to me, and she heard what I said, because later on she actually brought it up again. And you just notice a lot of great qualities about her that you can tell people why you like her, or if it didn't work out, if it's like, yeah, I don't want to go out with her again, it really didn't work. Why? Do you know why? Not many people do. People are just like vibing and saying, well, I liked her and I want to go on another date. It's basically they're hot, they're attractive superficially, and you want to go again and just feel, the warm vibe of another hot person that you talk about bullshit, nothing meaningful, nothing deep, and you don't know them any better than you did on the first date. You're around them more, but you don't know anything about them. You don't trust them anymore. You don't see them any clearly. You're making up stories like, I think I know them more because I've seen them twice. I've gone on 2 dates, therefore I feel more comfortable. Do you? Do you? You're more comfortable with being around them, but do you trust them more? Can you honestly say you can trust them more for certain reasons? Okay, you say you trust them. Why? What makes you trust them? Oh, we've been going out for months. Really? Is that your answer? We've been dating for months. That's why I can trust her? Anyway, enough. I think this stream is over. Leave your comments below, like, subscribe. If you've got a microphone, join a couple of us. We get together in a chat on my Gilded server. Links to my Gilded server in my About section or below this video. Have a microphone, learn how to use Gilded. It's not that complicated. If you don't know, jump on YouTube, watch a 5-minute video, learn how to use push to talk, and I'll see the rest of you on the Gilded server. Everyone, thank you for turning up. I will see you in the next stream or video, and have a good weekend. Bye.